Hello, it is Super Orange Cat, and today I'm going to be doing a review of the premiere of the new web series Meta Runner. Meta Runner just premiered on the SMG4 channel earlier today, and it's been hyped about for a while. In early December last year, there was a promo that came out from the SMG4 channel about this new web series they're creating featuring the Tari character from their SMG4 shorts, and it was pretty intriguing to me. It was definitely a big change in animation, much higher quality, and over time it became revealed that they were getting funding from Screen Australia, and they were getting this was actually being produced, I believe, by Crunchyroll, and also believe they got some production or some direction from Epic Games, which, if you don't know, is the game company behind Fortnite. So you would get worried about that hearing about Fortnite. It's like, oh god, there's me Fortnite dances everywhere, isn't there? Fortunately, at least through one episode, there is no Fortnite dancing, so that's one good thing about it. And just going into this episode, when you go into Premiere, there's several things you need to establish right off the bat. One of them is reasons for liking the main character. Look, the main character is a character you're going to be stuck with for the whole ride, so hopefully it's someone you end up liking. And through this, even if you're not familiar with Tari from the SMG4 shorts, she comes off as a likable character. She's a little bumbling, but at the same time, she feels like an innocent person trying to get through this world here in this Silica City, which is something interesting to note here. And that's also another thing you need to establish is the setting. And we have Silica City, which seems to be this very Tokyo Blade Runner inspired city where video games are king. It's basically like sports here. Well, there's esports, but it's if you're good at video games, you're a huge star. If you're not, then you're an absolute nobody. And I like how the show establishes these basic setup in the scenery, this basic setup in the whole mythos of this place pretty quickly. And also, to really set the stage for later in the season too. I don't want to go into too many details, but there's a bit of a scene towards the beginning that strongly implies the direction of the season, which I really like because they don't really show the whole hand. They just showed you something is wrong and it's going to confront Tari at some point. That's something I really like here. And also, with they also helped establish a good secondary character in Belle, who is another meta runner like how Tari is. And she comes off as kind of like this snide, pompous. Like she's considered the top meta runner. She's considered like the best video game player in the world. So she's considered the ultimate superstar. And it's interesting how it really shows in her being very snide and pompous and acting above Tari, being mean to Tari. In a way, it's like reminds me of Seto Kaiba's relationship with Yugi Moto in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters, and it feels like that's the type of role that Belle's going to play later on in the show. And that's something to see how that affects her character progression. And also, you got this whole thing with TAS or TAS, which they set them up as like this corporation that fronts like an Apple or a Samsung. Well, especially Samsung with how Samsung funds esports teams, but at the same time, this company having a bit of a darker side shown through Bell's agent, who we don't know much about other than he's an asshole and has an ownership complex over Bell, which is something interesting because they're going to be tackling the concept of, I guess, human and robot here through the concept of meta runners. So it's going to be a bit like Blade Runner, I guess, in that regard, too. And anyhow, like, again, I really love this show, and I was surprised by the quality of it because it came and when I saw the promos, I thought, oh, this is gonna be some waifu fest or something. They're gonna obsess over this character. It's gonna turn moe pretty quickly. Fortunately, it does not take that direction. It's not moe. It's not waifu bait the show, and I really like how they've handled the characters so far in general, and also established the whole concept of Tari being able to go into these video game worlds which opens up many new possibilities for the animation. And that's another bit I want to tackle on. Animation for a webtoon is pretty damn good. And that's the thing I was absolutely surprised in, especially with the promo showing that 3D, that American wannabe 3D anime animation type style, which, Rooster Teeth uses out the ass. Except for here, this is much more polished than Rooster Teeth, which is impressive considering it's just getting funding from Crunchyroll. It's just really just two guys in their basement getting funding and possibly some animation help from Crunchyroll, from Epic Games, which I think most of the rendering probably was on Epic Games' part, since you have to render animation well if you want to create a video game. And this animation kind of looks a bit like Fortnite in terms of quality, which is still better than Rooster Teeth. So I mean, I'm not going to complain about that. And also the fact that no, this is not even. I misled when I said it's like an American wannabe, because this was actually made in Australia. By the way, the two brothers who actually made this are Australian, and that's another interesting thing about this. They're able to concurrently produce their roles with them still producing weekly episodes of their standard Mario-based SMG4 fare, which is honestly is a guilty pleasure of mine. I love those videos personally. So, and again, it's interesting. And also another note too here is where you have Rooster Teeth getting all these big names for something like Genlock. Like you get Michael B. Jordan, you get Maisie Williams, you get Dakota Fanning, and you spend clearly that's where all the money went with Genlock. Here, this show looks a lot more well balanced, as you have virtual no names voicing the main characters. The only real big name that voiced anything was the Odd Ones Out, doing a cameo 1 or 2 line role at one part in this episode. I'm not sure if that character is going to come back, because he seemed like a common male character. And even the helper robots were all voiced by one of the two brothers, actually. Kevin, I can't pronounce his last name. It's long and it starts with an L. That's all I can tell you about that. So again, pleasantly surprised by this. I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. The reason for the 1 point shy of a 10 is because of the fact that although the animation is very solid, at the same time there are a couple moments where it hits that uncanny valley a bit. Like Hari makes a couple facial expressions that, if you pause, kind of look creepy, and you could say the same about Belle as well. But that's a very small nitpick. But again, very solid show. I was pleasantly surprised by the first episode. I'm looking forward to next week. Episodes be posted weekly on Thursdays on the SMG4 channel on YouTube. I encourage you all to just watch it if you haven't watched it already. It's worth your time. And it's something I'm looking forward to each week, which is really good for me, because considering that right now there's not much on Tanami I really, really want to watch on a weekly basis. Like right now for Tanami, the only ones I want to watch on a weekly basis are really Lupin and Food Wars. And it's nice to have a third show in Meta Runner to throw into that mix. So what do you guys think about Meta Runner? Do you think it's good? Do you think it's very promising for the future? What do you want more content like this? If you want me to keep reviewing the show, please like, please subscribe, hit that notification button, comment down below. Please review this every week or something like that. I appreciate your guys' support. I am Super Orange Cat, and that is all.